So we have a quorum.
We have a quorum.
That is good. So just before we get started, any additions, corrections to the minutes from last meeting? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I approve the motion.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? It's okay.
Did you call the meeting to order?
The meeting is now called to order. It is 7:31, and the Town of Fairfield Board of Health meeting is now called to order. So the motion for the minutes are approved. I'll get this eventually. And now Dan's your director's report.
So it'll be quick. It's only been 3 weeks since the last meeting, so we did have our presentation before the RTM for our budget, which went smoothly, and then in early May, the RTM voted to approve the budget. So that for us, that means, all of our line items are relatively the same, and the staffing levels are the same, except for the addition of 2 positions in the school health program. So we were able to get those 2 positions. We'll be working with finance and HR to fill those to supplement the demands that we're seeing at some of the schools that Jill has shared about. So we're pleased with that. That'll make next year a little bit easier. We did have on the 21st a 2+ hour meeting with the commissioner of the Connecticut Department of Public Health, along with the deputy commissioner that came down here. The commissioner is a Fairfield resident, and she's doing a tour of all the local health departments with the deputy commissioner. The deputy commissioner was a health director until a few months ago, and she was the City of Danbury health director, then City of Bridgeport health director, then New Fairfield health director, and most recently the Housatonic Valley Health District health director, and now she's a deputy commissioner.
Could you tell me her name?
Lisa Morrissey is the deputy commissioner, and Dr. Manisha Jitani is the commissioner. So Dr. Jitani was a infectious disease doctor at Yale New Haven Health System, and had been doing that for 20+ years, and was an advisor to the governor during the early parts of COVID, and then during that transition when the previous commissioner left, she was appointed commissioner. So it was I thought it went a very good meeting. We also had, Mark was there. They had requested the chairman of the Board of Health and the chief elected official to be there, and First Selectwoman Kupchik was there. And so we had, and as well as most of the sort of office-based staff were here, and a few of the school nurses were able to make it as well. And so I thought it went well. We got to introduce the staff, and then the focus of the meeting was really talking about how DPH and the local health departments can work better through the grants and the funding that DPH provides to the local health department. So we had I thought was a robust talk about the how we utilize the funds that DPH provides, and suggestions for how to what areas can be improved in the delivery of those funds and management of those funds. And so I thought it went well. She seemed to be pleased with the meeting. I'll ask Mark if he had any other comments in terms of, you hung out the whole time as well,
I thought it went very well. I mean, I think the most important thing from my standpoint is that she got to know what we're doing here, what Sands and his department are doing, and I thought she seemed very impressed, and she should have been. So I thought it was. I think she's been to several, and I think that her reaction. I'd worked with her a little bit, so I knew her a little bit from up at Yale, and I think that she definitely was. I think she was very impressed by the way the department is run, and all the programs that have been done, and the way that the way we handle COVID and everything since. So I thought it was a good meeting for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I thought one of the things that was interesting is they've been to several health departments before, and they said, you guys, we've had this talk for 2+ hours now, and you haven't even brought up the FDA food code. And, that's been a complaint that we've heard over and over again. And, Santina and Rob and Jill were all there. And, Rob summed up as like, well, it wasn't a surprise that it was coming. So we were ready. You know, we printed our own forms. We bought the new FDA food code book so the sanitarians could study it. We were ready to go, took all the courses that we needed to take. And so I think they were surprised by that we weren't, you know, again, I'm not trying to, you know, lots of departments were ready for it and are not complaining, but at least the ones they visited sort of were surprised that we didn't even bring it up.
I think she was relieved. I think she probably had been like, you know, obviously when things like that change, then she probably heard a lot of disgruntled health departments. But I think that went well, I thought, because
Yep, and I think she was impressed that the board we've already changed and modified our code to adopt the FDA food code, and that's already happened, you know, where I think a lot of other health departments are struggling with that aspect of it, where the state code has already changed and their local codes are inconsistent with that, and, you know, trying to deal with that. I thought that meeting went well. Hopefully that will, you know, further the relationship that we have with DPH and improve it. We did have, and some of you might have seen it in the paper, but we were called by the police to participate in an inspection of a dwelling that had lots of animals in it. Right. And so we did, Rob Guerrera and Debrina Hudson, one of our sanitarians, did do an inspection. We ended up declaring the home unfit for habitation. The health department did. The police and animal control also did their enforcement actions, but we did declare it unfit. We assisted the family in relocating to a hotel, and they spent a week in a hotel while they were cleaning. And on the 5th, we did a reinspection. I mean, we did several reinspections through the week, but on the 5th they said, I think we're ready, and it was cleaned up enough that where the inspector said it's back to a habitable state now, and so the property.
That meant that the people could go back into their place of living.
So they were living in a hotel for a week.
How did it get brought to the attention of the police and animal control? Like, how did
they saw an animal, right? I read it. They saw a dog that looked very unkempt and unhealthy, and they tracked it back to that.
The police did.
House. Yeah, somebody reported it.
It was a neighbor who happens to be a veterinarian. You know, saw an animal out, and this property is no stranger to complaints over the years. You know, we've been at the house before. There's been blight complaints filed before that didn't rise to the level of being considered blight. Mm-hmm. They've had some issues with you know, unregistered vehicles being parked on the streets, that zoning has been dealing with. So it's a familiar property, and so the animal control received a complaint about that. They received a search warrant and executed that Friday morning. And so,
quick question: is there some sort of supplementary funding that the town has for when something like that occurs? Because obviously, like I said, I've been in houses as well, just from as you know, from a visiting nurse perspective. But just to be able to help reconcile that, and then also, do they do follow-up? Because as you know, that's typically more of like a mental health, like disease kind of situation, and the maintenance of something like that is really difficult long-term, probably unless there's some sort of, you know, guidance or oversight.
Yep. So in terms of funding, while there's no specific line item for that, we do have funds in the health department to, you know, because we do this a few times a year where we'll have to relocate people. There's a law that says the town has to provide this. And so in general, what we will try to do is we try to say to them, you have to put yourself up, you know, but if you claim that you don't have the means, then the town will do that, but we will bill you in some way. We will either send you an invoice for that, or we will put a lien on the property for the costs associated with that. So when the house is sold, we'll recoup the money eventually. But there's also, the town has a contingency account that's for unknown items. That's a general account that we have tapped into in the past. For example, with Sandy, like when we had lots of people that when we didn't have enough people to keep the shelters open, but but we still had people that needed places to stay. We just ended up putting people up in hotels for a few nights, and so the contingency account would take care of that.
Is there ongoing? I mean, you said that this house has come to the department's attention before. Is there any sort of ongoing monitoring program to help ensure that folks that have these sorts of circumstances, are being checked in with regularly to try to keep them from getting back to a situation like that?
Yep. So we made the day of the event, we made a referral to social services, and so they they were. We can't force the people to engage with them, but we usually social services will work with them to say, hey, we have assistance programs that we can connect you with, and that way they make connections with the family and work to to continue that relationship. But a lot of these individuals are reluctant to accept any kind of assistance. They just want, as most people would, they want the government out of their hair as quick as possible, and they understand, all right, I'm in a situation, but I want this over with, and so and it's
there's a certain amount of as like the free will situation too, that people can live the way that they choose to live. It's their property, it's their house. Like I see that a lot, but I just had a situation where the father ended up having a stroke of the daughter that I see who had a stroke, and it's like she just didn't even have help anymore in the house, and then things with the condition, and I just had to figure out how to get some more help because it was a safety situation, and also you just don't want their house to get destroyed if there's like a raccoon in the walls, for example.
So we make those connections with social services. Social services tries to maintain a relationship with the family so that they with the carrot of we have assistance programs, heating assistance and rent assistance, and all those types of programs out there, and they also work with Community and Economic Development, which has a handyman program and homeowners small grants that they can do for home improvements and things like that. They'll do roofs and windows and doors and repairs like that, and same kind of thing. Zero or no interest, low or no interest loans where they put it back as a lien on the property or forgive it. Different programs they have. So we don't just go in there, do enforcement, and then walk away, but we'll have social services do the follow up on that. But it's always a challenge to take somebody out of their home and say you can't live here, and the water pollution control facility odor issue, while it still persists, we still get a few complaints here and there.
Oh, it was really strong today, I can tell you that much. Oh, it was really awful.
Yeah.
That was the worst today that I've seen or smelled. In quite a while.
Yeah, it really, it just depends, it's the light breeze, low clouds, and where you are in relationship to that really impacts.
I will say, though, that it's not coming out. To me, it didn't come out beyond Reef Road, but when you went down to go to the dump itself, it was like, oh, you need to close your windows because it was really, really bad.
So while we still receive a few complaints, I think people have gotten used to it now, and they just say, okay, and the water pollution control facility staff has an email list of people that have sort of asked questions, and so they're providing regular updates. So they did replace, right on the corner, you'll see that big, 4-foot thick mat of wood chips. That's called the biofilter. That's that filters all the buildings that generate odor. It all gets pumped through there and filters through that. They have also, so they replaced that entire biofilter. They have also installed an additional odor control system that was, at last email I got, was 50% of it was operational, and they should have the remaining 50% up soon. And then they've expect to have the digester fully repaired by the end of this month is the current estimate of when it should be repaired.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, and they're adding they're adding those digester units to the biofilter to help take some of those odors out and send it through the biofilter.
I don't really want to say, Sam, that it's really bad, but it just, every once in a while, you think it's all gone away, and all of a sudden, like today, whoa, it was worse than it has been in months.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that happens. And
yeah, I mean, there's a couple processes that happen down there, particularly when they're, they, at the end of the composting building, so there's this long building that takes 28
Right.
days for the solids to be composted, mixed with wood chips, and they process down through. And then when they're scooping that compost out and putting
Right.
it into trucks, that's an odorous process, and so that generates some stronger odors. So there's a few times during the day when there's, some activities that increase the odor. But a lot of it is
I
atmosphere.
will say, as a person who lives practically in the neighborhood, the company, I guess it's what they call it, Denali.
We care Denali,
I
yep.
can't imagine the things that they do. I mean, it's just so different when you go down there, and you've seen it from years ago, that whatever they're doing is so much more beneficial to the town. Like, when I went today to put compost in, and they have this great big thing with the logs
Mm-hmm.
and the trees and whatever in the back, and they're getting to that now.
Yeah.
Like, and then the berm, you can see the grasses on the berm now, and I think it's really great, except for when it smells. It's really gross.
And that's the challenge of that is that, that's a utility type area. So
Yes.
every morning there's about 100 DPW vehicles. There's about 100 buses down there. There's the We Care Denali site. There's the sewage treatment plant.
Right.
There's the fire training center.
I
there's the
believe,
animal
I'm
control
not
facility.
criticizing by
Yeah.
any means.
But
I
there's-
believe they're doing the best that they really can.
Yeah.
Because it's so much more improved than it was, say, 5 years ago or 6 years ago.
Yeah. It just happens to be a
Just doesn't
concentration
smell
of
right now.
odorous activities that are
Yeah.
all in that one single area. So we continue to work on that. We're also we're just about to launch our Medical Reserve Corps recruitment campaign, where we will be looking for new Medical Reserve Corps volunteers. This is part of the MRC RISE grant that we received. So we'll be launching that soon within the next couple of days on social media. We'll have an orientation information session on the 25th at the Senior Center. And we will have, that'll be the same night prior to that orientation session, we will have an appreciation dinner for the Medical Reserve Corps volunteers down at the Senior Center, where we have Dr. Matt Carter, the former state epidemiologist, coming to give a talk on sort of his view on the pandemic and pandemics in general. And so it'll be an interesting discussion, at least.
Okay. What are those dates?
That one is May 25th, Thursday, May 25th. We'll start that at 5:30, and then we'll end that at about 7:30, 7:45.
Okay.
And so we also continue to work on the issue of the fill use areas around town. So of the 40-plus areas that received fill from the fill pile, we're down to 8 sites that require work. So all the work has been done at all the other sites. And if you take Penfield out of that, Penfield is a larger project. They will start in after Labor Day. They'll shut down the whole facility, and that will begin the remediation and reconstruction. It's a dual thing with the fill underneath it will be removed, and then they'll also make the repairs that are required by FEMA. That'll be take the school year, if you will, and should be done by July of 2024.
Wow.
And then that leaves us 7 remaining projects requiring remediation. We'll be sending out notices this week, probably tomorrow, to residents. We have 3 projects that are going to start around the 15th, remediation projects on Hillside, Ronald Drive, and Mill Hill. And we'll be notifying those residents that the remediation will be starting sometime after May 15th. And then that leaves 4 projects that remain, and all of those projects, we expect to have those all done by the end of the summer. And so we'll have all the sites except for Penfield done by the end of the summer, which we're happy to see that get beyond that. While the fill pilot itself is still being negotiated, in terms of what will be the options there, what will be the approach to address that, is still under negotiation with all the regulators that are overseeing that. That's between the licensed environmental professional company, Weston and Sampson, the attorney that the town hired, and the regulators that are overseeing that project.
Are those 8 sites all closed off to the public to keep them exposure, or are they usable in the meantime?
They are usable. So some of them are, one of them is, under a catch. It's, they repaired a catch basin, and underneath the asphalt and concrete is some fill that they used. The other ones are curb projects. So they replaced a curb, they put fill in behind it, and then they put topsoil on top of it, so it doesn't present any kind of risk, and the levels there are not significant. So those the one site that is closed off is the tennis facility down on Old Dam Road. So they have that area fenced off because that's the only site that has the PCB issue, and so that's a little bit more complicated. That'll probably complicated of a site and requires more federal oversight to get the approvals. So that will be probably the later of the projects to be done. But it's a relatively small area as well. It's a 20 by 20 and a 10 by 10 kind of space that they're doing, like one of the sites is the Frank Rice Senior Trail, where they used some fill there. So it's a recreational type area where people just walk on it, nobody's digging there, and on either side of the trail is an old landfill. So there's the risk that poses just in and of itself, but the trail itself doesn't present any significant hazard for recreational uses like that. So that is my report.
Good. Thank you very much. Do you have anything?
Yeah, so just a few things. One, the COVID team is working on the emergency orders are going to be ending this week. So we're just making some adjustments to our website, and the state is going to be changing how they're putting out their data. So our data page might change a little bit depending on the data that we're receiving from the state. And then for our preventative health block grant, last year we used it to add about 600 feet of sidewalk on South Pine Creek to make 1.4 miles of continuous sidewalk. And we're going to continue that in the upcoming months. And then in March, I was trained as a gatekeeper for the QPR, which is suicide prevention. So QPR stands for question, persuade, and refer. And so basically that allows me to train other people. So I was trained in March. Julie McCullough, our public health nurse, was just trained about 2 weeks ago, as well as one of our school nurses. So we're going to be offering the training to all health department staff on the 22nd. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours long. And then we plan on taking it out to the community. Jill had one of the school nurses get trained so that the school nurses can be trained in it. So we're really excited to start bringing that to the community as well. And then the last thing is we partnered with Fairfield Cares to kind of come up with an anti-vape campaign. So this kind of all started, I said, Kathy Hazlitt from Fairfield Cares, why don't we do like a vape, video, like an anti-vape video with like the kids? And Kathy really ran with it. I was able to secure funding from the state's per capita grant that we received. And so from that, we got kids from both high schools and Fairfield Prep and Notre Dame to participate. And we have 4 short videos that are still kind of in a draft form. We're meeting with the kids and Alex from the media company on Wednesday to kind of really finalize ideas. But I will show you guys the videos.
The kids came up with the themes for
Yep, the
these,
kids
so
came
it's
up with the
all
themes.
student-driven. And you said that several of them are they had formerly vaped?
Yeah, a few of them are former vapors. So, I mean, I think they came out great, but.
And Kathy spent the day with them and was there doing the filming they did it at the high school?
At Ward,
Yep.
at Ward High School.
You'll see, Kathy makes a few cameos. But, it was a really good collaboration, I think, and I really thank Kathy and Alex for taking the kids' vision and really making it happen. So here's one of them.
I picked up a lot of bad habits as a basketball player. Dribbling too high, not holding my follow through, complaints to the ref, stuff like that. But the worst habit that I've picked up is off the court. Vaping keeps me up at night. I just get this image in my head, last play of the game, time, counting down, the inevitable feeling of I need this play. What if I don't have the energy because of this bad habit that I could have broken if I put my mind to it? My vaping habit influences every play of the game, not just that last play. I wish I never started. Don't start now.
That's really good.
Very
Really
nice. Oh,
good.
look, he
Great.
just changed that. So it says funded by the Fairfield Health Department through a grant provided by the Connecticut Department of Public Health.
Perfect.
There are all logos.
And so the theme of all of these is Don't Start Now. This sort of came out of the discussion that we had with the teams, and I'm thrilled that we have representation from all the high schools, both private and public, in the town.
See if that helps. That's a long run.
Shut up. Yeah.
This is on me, no running in the hallway. Hey, Lauren. Are you okay? Do you need some water?
Just give it a minute.
So I learned something in that.
Just, they call it Nick, like,
Nick
Yeah.
is
an
nicotine.
expression, yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I think I could see that was like a little too fast at that end.
Yeah,
Where
so
you couldn't,
that's the one out of all 4 that we kind of want it to be a little bit reworked. But
Okay.
Alex wants to wait until we show it to the kids and, kind of get their feedback as well. But out of all 4, that's the one that we think.
Oh,
Yeah, I see what you mean, just right at the end, if it's like, just give me the Nick, and then if it just like sat there for like
Yeah.
a few more seconds, so you have time to be like, oh, yeah, just a.
it was almost, you didn't even have time to blink.
Yeah.
Although, I hate to say it with the it's like the ingestion time of kids now, I mean, everything is swiping reels, it's like fast, has to be like really quick, hit their attention, quick messaging, like
Yeah.
their processing time is fast and,
Really good.
Yeah, and that's the thing is we kind of had the vision of maybe like a longer video, and when Alex was talking to the kids, they said, that's not gonna work for the kids. We need quick, short, to the point videos.
And just very quickly, so one of the pledges that each of the kids made as participating in this project is to share the videos on their social media with their network of friends.
Yeah.
So it really is.
Well, I was gonna ask, what's the distribution method that's planned for this? Is
Yeah.
it just kind of word of mouth viral, or do you wanna get these on TV, or?
Well, we're hoping for some sort of a larger
Yeah, we're hoping.
Yeah, get like ad council to pick it up or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, even in my meetings with other local health departments, obviously this is an issue we're all struggling with, and so a lot of our colleagues are really excited about it as well. And so one of the things we want to talk on Wednesday with the kids is how do we go about launching this? Sam has suggested there's 4 videos, and maybe we hype it up, and every week we release a new video on social media or whatever it may be. So I'm really excited to hear what the kids have to say.
Oh my God, guys, it's more paper!
Can I interest you in the Banana Ice?
I'm good, thanks.
Pineapple Ice for you.
I'm good, thank you.
Can I interest you in the Grape Ice? You two, come here. Let's have some watermelon.
And then the last one. So this is a poem she wrote.
7:30, bell rings, class in session. Tick-tock, the clock talks, it's time for a session. I might miss my lesson, see if this fresh breath of heaven. I tried to stop, but withdrawal I dread it. You may regret it, so you don't stop. Why stop? It's not that bad, why don't you try it? Go take a free trial at the nearest rest stop. That first hit, you won't forget. Guavatini, pina colada, a tropical burst of air that takes life's problems away. This thing has a hold on me. It's taking control of me. Don't start now.
And so that came out, the kid says that they're vaping in the bathrooms and that there's all these like fun flavors that, really gravitates to the kids.
What's on the bottom in terms of, like, I can see what it looks like, Fairfield Prep, but what are the other?
So this is our logo, the health department.
Okay.
Fairfield Cares, Fairfield Public Schools, Fairfield Prep, and Notre Dame.
Okay.
Yep. And then here it says it was funded by the health department through a grant provided by the Connecticut Department of Public Health.
I got it.
So.
Great. Those are really good.
Yeah, I liked the first one the best personally.
Yeah.
I thought that was the most effective, definitely. But I think that parents and kids would share those. I think like the don't start now. I mean, the only other thing I would say is like probably if there's, I mean, obviously this is like a really important ad campaign, but also like, maybe one at some point that's really geared towards like, what if you already did and then what? Because I mean, who has middle school? You have middle school, I have high school. I mean, middle schoolers, we've been getting the notices from the principal of kids being caught vaping and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My daughter, in high school, at Ward at least, I'm sure other places, there's individual stalls, but there's not even a main bathroom door at all. They've removed all that. And it's just, and as somebody, I'm out a lot in the, like Black Rock scene, music scenes, all the time, like live music. Everyone in that 20s thing, they all are vaping. They all are, because it's just discreet, it's everywhere, it's very prevalent. And it's not, you don't have to deal with like the smell of the cigarette smoke. It's so much more discreet, There's so many things. So I like this. I think it's good.
And that was definitely part of the conversation with the kids as well, and this is the direction that they chose to go in.
Yeah, I think it's really good because obviously think back to like the 80s, 90s campaigns that we had. I mean, we'd make fun of some of them, right? I mean, you had like, this is your brain on drugs, like, with the egg and the thing. I mean, okay, some of that was effective, but some of it was unfortunately mocked because I think it was more adult directed. I mean, now people laugh at the one where it's like, I learned it from watching you, Dad, and all those kinds of things because it's like you have legalized marijuana, right? You know what I mean? It's like you're getting a lot of mixed messages here. So, anyway.
I think the one comment that I have with regard to Nikki running the hallway, I think we could have a stronger health message at the end of that that really drives home the need for understanding that there's an addiction. That's why he's...
Yes, I mean, that's like don't let Nick, control you. You're in control. It's like yourself or destiny or, however they think it's cool to say it, but...
Exactly.
Yeah.
I also think that there's a big divide. Now, you look at me and you look at how old I am and how many generations I've been through. We don't see this because we're out there and it's done and it's over with for us in terms of families. But it's not done. It's never done. And I think that what I can do in terms of the senior center, sorry about this voice, but to get people to see that it's not just a young thing, it's a real thing for everybody. Yeah.
Well, I think probably
it doesn't end.
Probably some education of older generation might be good in the sense that, like, sometimes the kids are guilt tripped by their grandparents and other things, but in a good way, you know, in a positive influence.
I don't think seniors really see it the way, like I do, because I've been involved for a long time. But I think that's the only message I can bring, is that you really need to look at your children, look at your grandchildren, and get involved in the situation because it's not going to stop.
Well, I think it is, I think you bring up a really good point, because I think it's important for everybody to advocate, to tell people, you're just putting poison in your body. You know, it's just as bad as smoking.
Yeah, it's like, it's the new
It's not only that,
poison.
but you're also putting, not just putting poison in your body, but you're putting poisons in their minds.
Well, yeah, because addiction then.
And that's not a good thing.
No, I think having more people at the senior center know about it, because the messaging that could come from from the elderly to the younger people,
I get the
that's
impression,
really, I think, could be
I
very
get the impression
helpful.
from the people I see, and it's not me, but I get the impression that, okay, it's over, so I don't care.
Well, yeah, because in that
that's
generation,
not
either
what
people
it should
decide, either people died, you hate to say it, or they continued to keep smoking, not caring, because that was their prerogative, you know what I mean? Or they learned about the dangers and gave it up once it was
It's not
de-glamorized.
just smoking, but it's just the whole idea of life itself. Well, I'm done, you know, my life is over, well, which it is, because I'm almost 90, but I feel and see what's going on, and I can't stop, and I don't want my fellow citizens to stop. You know, because if we stop, then that's the end of everything.
Well, thank you for being involved.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
But I just, one other thing, I think it's great though, that the health department, I think it seems like there's more integration more recently of, getting involved with, you know, I know you mentioned the suicide aspect, the partnering with Kathy from CARES. It just seems like there's been some additional evolution. I know you always dealt with like a lot of the health choices, diabetes, diet management, things like that, but it did seem like for a while during the pandemic, it had gone from like, you know, the sanitation, like food aspects, which is obviously really important, to like, boom, the one health aspect of COVID. So it seems like there's more targeted campaigns towards a lot of the other problems that have certainly evolved, let's just say, over the last number of years, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we've always had a really good relationship with Fairfield CARES, and then obviously with COVID, we were taken away from that, but we kind of jumped right back in, and like I said, this really happened from a conversation with me and Kathy just kind of ran with it. So I thank her for everything that she did. She recruited the kids, and she was meeting with them, and Alex, and they just, I think, did a phenomenal job, and so it's something I'm really proud of, and I'm excited for the kids to see it on Wednesday, and really to launch it. And then, you know, with QPR, it was something we felt was really important, and, you know, Sam sent me the email and said there's a gatekeeper, you know, training, you know, go ahead and go. It's a full day training, and to get Julie and Joanna also trained in it. We're looking forward to bringing that out into the community.
Pre-COVID, there was a lot of integration between the health department and Fairfield CARES. We worked all our grants. We were working very closely with the health department.
Great.
I'm sorry, I may have come in late, but I don't know who you are.
I'm Kathy Hazlett. I'm the program director of Fairfield CARES Community Coalition.
Okay.
And it's a community coalition that focuses on youth substance use prevention and mental health wellness.
I'm a representative from, the senior center, and I also, I'm chairman of Southern McKinney Elder Housing, so that's how I got involved in all this.
That's great. Well, thank you. That's important to be involved. So
Yeah.
thank you.
And then just the last thing, speaking of, diabetes and healthy living, our healthy living program, we are almost done. We'll finish on the 24th. And the program participants have lost almost 60 pounds collectively. So I'm really, really excited for them. And, they should all be really proud of the hard work that they've put into it. So it's tough to make behavior change. That's it.
Thank you so much. Always.
I shall leave you all to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
I think we're probably done too, but thanks.
Yeah.
It was nice to meet you.
Fantastic. That was really great. So, any communications?
No.
Any unfinished or old business anyone want to talk about?
We have nothing on the agenda? Yeah.
Any new business? Any new comments? So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right,
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
there we
Yeah,
go.
see you in June.